materials for the wall there, which in the sorry, had my photos there a second ago, which you can see pretty clearly in these photos of the entry, is marble. And it's not a bad idea to have the photos up while you're doing it, so you can see pretty clearly what you're aiming for. And so you should have an image of some marble that's pretty close to that in the material images folder. And just going to the previews there. It's in finishes. Okay, I can't stand the way they name these, but that's just life. It's not worth going and renaming them all. So, okay, so we've got some marble here. They're not what we want though. Well, that one's not too bad. So worst case, I'll use this one, even though it's not quite the green that I want. And at least it's got the pattern that I want though. And I'll show you if we need to use that one in the end, then I can just adjust it and make it green if necessary, but hopefully, let's see if there's another one that's greener. I remember there was a green one. No, okay, so look, I'll just go with that one that I found, and where was it? Oh, here's the one that I was after. That's it. Okay, so this, what is it? Marbed teal is pretty close to the actual marble that's there. So I'm just going to make a copy of it in case I need to put it somewhere else. And okay, so in Revit, when you're rendering on your own computers, you've probably seen already that you have a material library, or the images that you use for the materials copied onto your computer. If you're going to go and render on a different computer, then Revit needs to know where that file is. So if you go into the main menu, and then under Options, you go to File Locations. You can, it's under Places. You can add in new paths for it to search. And, oh no, sorry, I'm in the wrong, this is for your libraries, so that's what you would do for libraries. So for rendering, it's on the rendering panel. And then you can add paths for rendering here. And that's really important if you're going to use images that aren't from the standard library. So, and that's the default library that you have in Revit. So here I'm just going to go Add Value, and then I'm going to Browse, and then I'm going to choose a folder. So I'll make a folder for myself, and this is something you should all do for your own images. I've got one there that I could use, but I'll just make a new one, just so you can see. And I'll call this Revit Material Images. And I'm going to paste that file that I found into it. Now, it's not showing the file, but it is, trust me, pasted in there. So I'll just open the folder now, and it's going to add that path. Okay. And now I'll go into Manage, and then Materials, and I'll make that material. So going down through the list there, you've got the masonry material, which is close to what we want. So right click there and go to Duplicate. We can call this Masonry Marble. And then under Appearance, I'm going to go to Replace. And then browse to find in the stone folder something that's close to what I want. And so there's only one marble there, but that's okay. Coarse polished white will do. Double click. got the material set up, marble, masonry marble with the different appearance that has a new name, and under graphics I'll just go back and turn on use render appearance, and that's at least got the individual marble material set up. But then to put the image in, I can click browse now, and I can go to the folder that I just made, Revit materials, and material images, and then find that image. Okay, so it's using this image now for the colour, but I don't really know how big that is. So I'm going to go to the image swatch there, click on that, that thumbnail, and then I should see the size. Now, just watch out there. If you don't see width and height, then there is a bug in the program. So just close it down. If it's something like X and Y, or you see something about tiling, X and Y tile, which can happen. Normally the first time you go in there, you won't see width and height. Just close it, just go done, okay, and then open it up again, and trust me, it will fix it most of the time. So here, again, under appearance, clicking on this, it had width and height before, but again, if you need to fix it, that will always work. So this image here, that's probably not too bad a size, but just so you can see how to change it and maybe also how to work it out, I might decide that's one panel, and that's about 1 metre. So, and I don't mind if this one is repeated. So here, well, it's not far off the size that we want, but I can always change it. So I'll make it 1,000. Unless you turn it off over here, they're locked, the width and the height. So if you change one, the other changes in proportion. That's it. So I can just go done. I'm going to check the relief pattern. You can see it's using a different image. Now that's not a bad thing. That's not always a bad thing in this case. It could be a good thing because that's a nice grid pattern. Notice I've got 4 tiles in that grid though, not one. So if I want one of those images I had of the marble to stretch across one of these panels, this needs to be 4 metres across. So I can make that my sample size, 4,000. Okay, so now the edges should align, and I can increase the quality there. That's already on production quality, so that's actually the best it'll do. But if I go to a different shape, like a wall, then it might give me a good idea if the panels are working. That seems okay. Finish is polished, so I'm happy with that. And so now I need to think about where it goes on that wall. Made the material, but then so far I've just been showing you can set the material to the whole wall, I think. I'm going to go to thin lines here so you can see, yeah, I've just got the one component in this wall. It's all one solid material. But for renders especially, but also for the plans and other drawings you'd have at this stage, you wouldn't want that marble material to go wrapping around all the way around this wall. You just want it on one side or on certain sides. So we've got to go into edit type to put in that detail. Edit structure. I want the wall to stay 100mm thick, so I'm going to say I'll take the structure back to 80mm, and then I'm going to insert and move that up and change that new layer to 10mm. Sorry, which one?
So you know how there's those red lines?
Oh, wraps, yeah, sorry. Wraps is how it goes around at the ends. So I'm going to change that, but I'll show you when I do the ends. So I'll put the preview here so you can see that's just the 10mm I've added. The wrapping would come around here. And then I'll add another one, and I'll move that down to the bottom. And then I'll make that 10mm as well. And so an easy thing to miss if you haven't seen it with walls before is you've got an exterior side and an interior side for every wall. So that's the outside at the top. This is the inside. So I'm going to make the exterior side my marble. So I'm going to change the function to finish 1. No, that's okay. I'm going to change. Oh, yeah, I should have actually, but yeah, that's a really good point. But it's not such a problem here because I'm going to have all the stunt walls the same to begin with, and then I'll make the others. So yeah, but normally that's exactly what I should have done. And so with the internal know about that one. That the reason they've got finish 1 and finish 2 is for the inside and the outside. So finish 1's for exterior finishes, finish 2's for interior. Same with the substrates. It doesn't really matter if you use the right ones or not, but that's the reason they're there. So then the finish 1 material, I'm going to make this marble. So it's already there, I can just choose it. Finish 2, I'll make plasterboard. Now there's no plasterboard material there, so I'll just make a quick one. So I'll duplicate this plastic, that'll do, and make it plaster. And that's a really quick and easy one to just find in the library. So just any of these white materials are fine. White paint. Yes, yeah. I'm hoping the voice doesn't, well, the audio works, so. So there we are. So I've got a plasterboard material, and there's my marble. So the wrapping, I'm going to turn off for the plasterboard, so only the marble wraps around at the ends. And I'm going to set it to at ends, exterior. And so again, that's going to wrap the marble around at the end, which is, again, what we want. So I can't see it in this view because it's still set to coarse, but if I go to fine, now I can see what's happening with the marble, and that's what I want for now. But all of my walls are like that, which is not great at the moment, but it's easy now to go and just go edit type. I should have given that a better name, so we'll call this marble clad stud wall, and that'll do for now. Now I'll duplicate it and I'll make this new one just stud wall, and the exterior side I can just give the plasterboard material. And wrapping probably doesn't need to occur here, so I can set that to none. And there we go. So that should join pretty well with all those other walls. So these other internal walls can also be set to that same plasterboard, so that same stud wall type now. And then going back to the perspective, so there we are. So I can see now pretty clearly the materials there, but I've actually left something. The surface pattern in that marble material. So that's an easy thing to fix, just going back to masonry marble, and there you can see the surface pattern was still there, so I can just hit browse there and set no pattern. And then it's a good idea to have a look in realistic to see how the marble is going to look. And yeah, I'd be happy with that. So again, maybe I'll just quickly do the same thing with the floor, and so you can see there, that's a fairly simple material, and you should have one that's in the library that is going to be pretty close to that. Sorry? Yeah, I thought it was just concrete, but yeah, maybe it is slate. Oh yeah, so concrete up to here, or some sort of metal maybe actually. Is that rubber? Oh, rubber tile over the bridge. Concrete tiles they look like, yeah. And then yeah, maybe it is slate there. Some sort of masonry anyway. So so again, fairly good one to try. And so I will duplicate this one, and floor tiles for now. So again, just like the floor, it's good to put in layers for materials like this so it doesn't show through the whole object, because you're going to see maybe in some cases going to take it back to say 280, and then just insert, and again move that up to the top, and make that 20. So again, I'll make that finished one, and so you can see it's a bit like walls. With a floor though, the top is the top and the bottom is the bottom. And again, it's good to see the preview over there. So looking at the materials here, there probably isn't much that's close to what I want. Maybe the concrete. Yeah. So just like before, I'll duplicate it and we'll call it, well, I'll just do concrete tiles for now. So I'm going to stone, I should be doing concrete, and they do have concrete panel type materials that are pretty reasonable. So, well, maybe I'll just go for these blocks to begin with. Actually, no, they're a really flat material. I want to go for something shinier. I probably would, yeah, for this. Yeah. So the yeah, that smooth precast structural, believe it or not, is pretty good material. But that is just a smooth concrete. I don't mind if you want to change it to polished concrete or something like that. But I'm just choosing this because I know it's a nice material. And the only thing is you've got to play with the reflectivity to get it to look good. So a bit of a trick with concrete. And so again, this is one of the things you can try as one of the requirements for the assignment, that you've adjusted something like either opacity or reflectivity. And when you adjust reflectivity, you'll see it's got direct and oblique as separate settings, because the way a lot of materials look, or the quality of a lot of materials, is actually determined by the way they reflect at different angles. So the way that your eyes know you're looking at polished concrete as opposed to polished metal is actually to do with the way these different angles work. Metal's not actually, metal's that's a bad example because the colours come in there as well. But plastic and concrete is a good example, because they would reflect colour in the same way, but it's the difference in the way that in the hardness of the reflections and also the angle of the reflections that's different. And so again, just play with those different direct and oblique angles. You can look this up if you want to see what the properties for different materials are, but I think experimentation doesn't hurt there. And also changing the preview there to a plane, so you can see, there we go. And the wall as well, sometimes will give you a good idea for floors. You want to see flat surfaces. Might want to play with the brightness as well, lots of things you can adjust there. Okay, so that's, again, in realistic going to show up the size, and you can see that's looking like tiles because they're repeated. So if I go back in and play with that size, yeah, exactly. So you can make that double the size, and often you need to just do it by eye. It's not a bad idea to start with the real size, but then that just won't look really good in a render sometimes, so you just need to make it exactly it.
If you were to have to put two different metal terminations on a wall,
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Oh yeah, so there's a few ways.
Split the wall.
Yeah, you have to break the surface up. So well, do you mean two materials blended together over the top of each other, or two separate?
Two separate, like,
Yeah.
the walkway, different material for the rest of the wall.
Yeah, sure. So you've got split face for that, and yeah, so I'll do that actually. So with the that walkway area, under modify, you've got split face. that floor edge, and then it'll show you the orange or the boundary. I'll just turn thin lines off. The boundary will come up as an orange edge. So to split it, you just need to draw either a shape. I'll just draw one actually inside. So either a shape completely inside that boundary, and it will make that a separate surface, or you just need to draw from that boundary to define a closed shape. So I've just drawn across there to connect those two corners, and that's defining this area as a separate shape. So now if I finish that, then I can go to paint. Now, so paint's just the one below split face. But with paint, you need the material first. So you'll notice I'm in the habit of going to materials first before I assign them to things, and that's why, because often you do need them made in advance. So again, going back to materials here, I've got my concrete tile, so I'll make a new one, and we'll call that, well, let's do slate tiles for the rest. So, and this one, I'll be pretty sure we've got it in here. Pretty awful slate, but that'll do. And if it's a lot bigger, so maybe 2 meters, something like that. And then just watch out with materials like this, where it's got a tick down below for one of these properties. Make sure you have a look and see if it's using an image that you've adjusted. You'll need to adjust the image for that other property as well in the same way. So that's got to be the same matching size. Okay, so it's a different kind of slate to what we want to know, but that'll do for now. And so, well, so I'm going to say I want the main material to be slate actually. So I'm going to go back into the floor and make that main material that new material. Oh, did I just change that one? No. There we go. So, okay, so that's now assigned to the whole floor. It's all slate. And then I just want to make this part of it concrete, so I can go now to paint. It'll come up with this dialog box that you need to leave open while you're doing this, and then just find the material that you want. Concrete tiles, and then choose the surface that you want changed. So any surface you can break up in that way. Walls, roofs, everything in Revit can be broken up just like that. So back into the 3D view. Okay, so again, in those perspective views with realistic on, you can get a good idea of the scaling